You've just signed up for ACCA. You're excited, nervous, maybe even overwhelmed. The books look heavier than your laptop. The exam names sound intimidating, and suddenly everyone's asking you, what's your study plan? And let's be honest, most of us either don't have one, or the one we have is just a messy calendar we drew up in panic mode. But here's the thing. The difference between the students who pass with flying colors and those who keep resitting exams isn't just intelligence. It's planning. It's discipline wrapped in a smart, realistic structure. And today, I'm going to walk you through not just a typical ACCA study plan, but a battle-tested approach that has worked for hundreds of students, plus real stories of learners who faced the same struggles you're dealing with right now. Let's start with an image. Picture Sarah, a 23-year-old student in London. She works part-time in retail to support herself. When she began ACCA, she thought she could just wing it. She opened the book for financial accounting 2 weeks before the exam and tried to cram everything in. She failed miserably, and it crushed her confidence. But instead of giving up, she realized she needed structure. She started treating her study plan like a marathon, not a sprint. Over the next attempt, she divided her syllabus into small daily goals, revised weekly, practiced mock exams under time conditions, and used active recall instead of just rereading notes. The result? She passed, and her score jumped by nearly 30%. That's the power of a structured plan. Now contrast that with James, a corporate worker in New York juggling a 9-to-6 job. His main struggle wasn't intelligence, it was time. He'd come home exhausted and convince himself he'd study tomorrow. Weeks went by, and suddenly the exam was 2 weeks away. He failed on his first attempt. But then James made one critical change. He shifted his study sessions to early mornings before work. Just 2 focused hours a day. Consistently. Plus some review on weekends. He built what I call a micro-discipline routine. And the next attempt? He not only passed, but he actually messaged me saying, "I can't believe I wasted so much time before." That's another proof that your study plan doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to be consistent. And then there's Priya from Dubai. She was an absolute bookworm, but her problem was overstudying. She would sit for 10 to 12 hours, highlighting every single line of the book, thinking the longer she studied, the more prepared she'd be. But when exam day came, her brain was blank. She realized she wasn't practicing smartly, she was just draining her energy. Her turnaround came when she incorporated question-based practice earlier. She started solving past papers, analyzing examiner reports, and understanding how questions are framed. She realized the exam isn't about knowing everything, it's about applying knowledge under pressure. With that shift, she became one of those students who passed multiple papers on the first attempt. I'm telling you these stories because I want you to see yourself in them. Maybe you're Sarah, struggling with procrastination. Maybe you're James, stuck between work and study. Or maybe you're Priya, working hard but not smart. Wherever you fall, the ACCA study plan I'm about to share can be molded to fit your life. The golden rule? Your study plan should be realistic, consistent, and exam-focused. So let's break it down. Think of ACCA like climbing a mountain. You don't just sprint to the top. You take planned steps, stop for rest, and prepare for the weather. Your syllabus is that mountain, and your study plan is your climbing strategy. The first step is to map the terrain. Take the entire syllabus of your paper and break it into weekly chunks. If you have 3 months before the exam, aim to cover the syllabus in the first 2 months, leaving the final month for revision and practice. If you have less time, the same principle applies. Allocate at least 25–30% of your preparation strictly for revision and mocks. Too many students leave revision for the last week, and that's one of the biggest reasons they fail. Now here's where most people go wrong. They think they need to study for 8–10 hours daily. That's unsustainable. Instead, focus on 2 4 hours of active study if you're a full-time student, and 1 2 hours if you're working. And by active study, I don't mean scrolling through Instagram while your book is open. I mean focused, distraction-free study blocks. The Pomodoro technique, 25 minutes of study followed by a 5-minute break, works wonders here. After 4 sessions, take a longer 30-minute break. This keeps your brain fresh and prevents burnout. Let me give you another mini case study. Meet Ahmed, a student from Manchester who had ADHD and found it impossible to sit still for more than half an hour. Traditional study plans never worked for him. But when he adopted Pomodoro, breaking his sessions into 25-minute sprints. His productivity skyrocketed. He was finally able to study without feeling restless, and within months he cleared 2 papers back to back. The point here? Tailor the study method to your personality, not the other way around. Another critical aspect of your study plan is note-making, but not the kind where you rewrite the entire textbook. Your notes should be short, snappy, and exam-oriented. Think flowcharts, bullet points, and key formulas. For example, in management accounting, instead of copying long explanations, write, break-even point equals fixed costs divided by contribution per unit. That one line is enough to trigger your memory. And when you revise, your notes should feel like a cheat sheet, not another heavy book. Let's talk about revision, because this is where most students fail. A lot of students treat revision as rereading. They go through the book again, nod their head thinking, yeah, I know this, but on exam day, they can't recall it. Revision isn't recognition, it's recall. You need to actively test yourself. Close your notes, try to write the formula, or explain the concept to an imaginary friend. Better yet, do timed question practice. That's what examiners want, your ability to apply knowledge quickly and accurately. If you don't simulate exam conditions, you'll be shocked when the pressure hits. Now let me tell you about Lily, a student from Toronto. She was great at understanding concepts but terrible at recalling them under exam stress. Every time she saw a question, her mind froze. We worked on building her exam stamina. For 6 weeks before her exam, she practiced at least one timed question daily. At first, her answers were messy. But slowly, she got sharper, faster, more confident. On exam day, she told me it felt like just another practice session. That's the difference when your study plan includes timed practice. So how do you fit all this into a single plan? Simple, divide your preparation into 3 phases. Phase 1, syllabus coverage. Phase 2, revision and question practice. Phase 3, mock exams and fine-tuning. If you have 3 months, spend 6 weeks on Phase 1, 4 weeks on Phase 2, and 2 weeks on Phase 3. If you have less time, compress it, but never skip Phase 3. Mock exams are non-negotiable. Think of it like a dress rehearsal before a play. You wouldn't walk onto stage without rehearsing, right? Then why walk into an exam without mocks? Another case study, this time from Samir, a student in Singapore. He studied hard but refused to do mocks because he thought, what if I do badly? It'll demotivate me. He failed twice. On his 3rd attempt, he forced himself to do mocks and realized his main issue was time management. He was spending too much time on the first half of the paper and rushing the second half. Once he fixed that, he passed easily. The mock didn't just prepare him, it exposed his weakness. And that's exactly why mocks are the most important part of your plan. Now, let's address another huge challenge, balancing ACCA with life. You're not studying in isolation, you have work, family, maybe even kids. Here's where prioritization comes in. Ask yourself, what am I willing to sacrifice temporarily? Maybe it's Netflix binges. Maybe it's long weekend hangouts. The truth is, every ACCA qualifier has made short-term sacrifices for long-term gain. But the beauty is, once you qualify, your opportunities multiply. Think higher salaries, international mobility, and professional recognition. That's worth the grind. Let's circle back to the emotional side, because planning isn't just about timetables. It's about mindset. ACCA is tough, and there will be days you'll feel like giving up. On those days, remember students like Sarah, James, Priya, Ahmed, Lily, and Samir. They weren't superhumans. They were just ordinary people who stuck to a plan. The difference between passing and failing often comes down to persistence, not brilliance. One of the most powerful things you can do is track your progress. Use a simple tracker, tick off chapters as you finish them. That little dopamine hit keeps you going. And when you look back after a few weeks and see how much you've covered, it'll fuel you for the final stretch. And here's one last case study to wrap this up. Meet Daniel, a student from California. He was the definition of all over the place. No consistency, no structure, constantly switching between papers. After failing twice, he decided to commit fully to one plan. He created a 90-day schedule, stuck to it, did mocks religiously, and built accountability by studying with a friend over Zoom. The transformation was incredible. Not only did he pass, but he also told me, for the first time, I felt in control. That's exactly what a good study plan gives you: control over your journey. So here's the truth: the ACCA exams aren't designed to be impossible. They're designed to filter out those who aren't consistent. If you stick to a smart study plan, adapt it to your lifestyle, include active recall, practice under exam conditions, and build resilience, you will pass. It won't be easy, but it will be worth it. Because one day, when you're sitting in a job interview, and they ask you about your qualification, you'll remember the late nights, the sacrifices, the mocks, and you'll smile knowing it all paid off. And maybe, just maybe, you'll tell your own story to inspire the next generation of ACCA students.